Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
You'll have the chance to see a piece of American history for the first time this weekend, and you might be surprised it still exists. The U.S. flag that was on the Space Shuttle Challenger when the shuttle exploded almost 40 years ago. The flag was recovered intact, and it's been restored. It'll be unveiled Saturday in a public ceremony in Colorado Springs. Organizers say it represents courage, resilience, and hope for the next generation of explorers. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, you'll hear how the case played out at the Supreme Court over Colorado's ban on conversion therapy.
The Supreme Court justices had tough questions on this for both sides.
Then, why teachers in Colorado Springs are striking today.
They're being told that they have to provide a 3-page lesson plan for every single lesson.
This is patently a political agenda.
Plus, the app where you can download hundreds of books for free, ones that have been banned elsewhere.
We want to cast a really wide net so that people can find information that they're interested in.
And is Menver a thing?
It's really hard being single in Denver.
We take a scientific approach. It's Wednesday, October 8th. Here's the news in Colorado today.
We will hear argument first this morning in Case 24-539, Childs versus Salazar. Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for minors was argued in front of the Supreme Court justices yesterday. A Christian counselor is challenging the state law that prevents her from using therapy to try to change a child's sexual orientation or gender identity.
One of the things that's so problematic about Colorado's law is that it undermines the well-being of kids that are struggling with gender dysphoria. And so Colorado...
The state cannot lose its power to regulate the very professionals that it licenses just because they are using words.
CPR's Caitlin Kim was in the courtroom. Caitlin, what was it like there? Were there a lot of people who showed up outside like we sometimes see for high-profile cases?
Well, Bazi, unlike the other times I've gone to the Supreme Court, there weren't a lot of people outside protesting. I went through the line of people, members of the public, trying to get in. I do that to see if I can find any Coloradans to talk to them about the case. And it actually seemed like the line was smaller than I would have thought for a case of this magnitude. This was my second time inside the courtroom, and, it's this big, ornate room, beautiful ceiling. But I will say the sound inside isn't great. But it is interesting to watch the body language of the justices, like when Justice Thomas or Justice Alito lean all the way back in their chairs. When I did get back outside after the arguments, there were some supporters of both sides outside of the courthouse. But again, still a lot smaller than I would have expected given the topic.
Our listeners may have heard our episode Monday where we dug into the central question in this case. It's about whether talk therapy is free speech, which is how opponents of the ban want the court to look at it, or, as the state argues, that talk therapy is a medical practice that the state has the power to regulate. What did the justices reveal, if anything, about how they might rule on this?
Well, Bazi, I think based on the questions that they asked and some of the comments that they made, several justices seemed skeptical of Colorado's ban.
That seems like viewpoint discrimination in the way we would normally understand viewpoint discrimination.
In other words, just because they're engaged in conduct doesn't mean that their words aren't protected.
Looks like blatant viewpoint discrimination.
So at its heart, this case is about something called strict scrutiny. Now, to an average listener like me, that can seem like Latin, but basically it means that the state would have to prove it has a compelling interest in banning conversion therapy for minors by licensed therapists, and that it did it in the least restrictive way possible. Now, that's a really high bar to meet and would make it a lot more likely that the law is struck down. Now, the lower courts did not look at the law through this lens, but Childs' lawyer wants the justices at the Supreme Court to do that. And some of the questions do make me wonder if strict scrutiny will be applied by the Supreme Court, and if that happens, whether they'll choose first to send it back down to the lower court for it to be applied there. A couple of the liberal judges and conservative Amy Coney Barrett asked about sending it back down to the 10th Circuit.
So the justices have now heard the arguments in this case. What's next?
Well, for us, it's we all wait. The justices deliberate, but we all wait. The court will likely issue a ruling in the spring before the end of its term in June.
CPR's Caitlin Kim in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you, Bazi.
If you're taking kids to school in parts of Colorado Springs today, you'll see picket lines. Then you may get a canvasser at your door, and there will be a rally later today. The last teachers' strike in the Springs was 50 years ago. This one is slated to last just a day. CPR's Jenny Brundin is here to explain the dispute with the District 11 school board. Jenny, what is the teachers' union upset about?
Last December, the school board in District 11 voted to get rid of the union contract. That's common in the Colorado Springs area, but elsewhere on the Front Range, most districts do have agreements with unions. And District 11 is among the top biggest districts in the state. Obviously, having a contract can influence pay and benefits. In Colorado and districts that have a collective bargaining agreement, the average pay and the top pay for teachers are both significantly larger on average than in districts where there's no union contract. The union in District 11 still exists, and 60% of teachers are in it. Its leaders say life in the new regime, without a contract for the first time in over half a century, has gotten worse. Angel Givler teaches 5th grade.
There are required trainings now that are outside of school time. There are whole schools that are being told that they have to go to these several-hour trainings on Friday afternoons after school. Teachers are being told that they have to provide a 3-page lesson plan for every single lesson.
But Bazi, this strike isn't just about working conditions. It's also about politics.
How's that?
The teachers' union is unhappy with the way the school board has taken on issues about gender identity and sexual orientation. The school board has gotten into lawsuits against the state about trans athletes, about chosen names at school, and about displaying pride flags. But the board also alleges politics on the union's part. Jill Hafley is vice president of the board. There is a board election next month, and Hafley says this strike and the day away from school are really about rallying support for certain candidates that are more friendly to the union.
This is patently a political agenda that they are participating in.
And the teachers' union says, yes, the union does want to raise awareness about the importance of school board elections.
What do Hafley and the board say about the teachers' union's allegation that their working conditions have gotten worse without a contract?
Well, they say they're investing in teachers and helping them be better teachers. The board did vote for a teacher pay raise even without the union contract. They say there were other reasons to get rid of the contract, like it made hiring slower and made them less nimble in the pandemic. So in terms of what happens today, the union expects hundreds of teachers to participate in the strike, including educators from other districts. It's unclear, though, whether this one-day strike will result in any changes in board policies.
CPR education reporter Jenny Brundin. Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome, Bazi.
Book banning is not as common in Colorado as it is in some other states like Texas or Florida, but it does happen here.
In 2023, there were 120 titles in Colorado that were challenged in public libraries. That number's gone down a little bit in the last 2 years, but still in 2024, there were 60.
Mark Fink directs the public libraries in Adams County called Anythink Libraries. Anythink has started giving Coloradans over the age of 13 digital access to roughly 300 banned or challenged works. Some of the titles might surprise you.
1984, The Bluest Eye, Where the Crawdads Sing, To Kill a Mockingbird, Wicked. These are all titles that have been challenged either in Colorado or around the country.
Fink describes the Freedom to Read collection as a sort of book sanctuary.
We want to cast a really wide net so that people can find information that they're interested in or read books that they're interested in or learn about new communities by accessing titles that are part of that collection.
You can access these 300 titles through an app called the Project Palace app. You do need to provide Anythink Libraries with your name and a valid email address before you can start browsing. Fink said he's not sure if they'll receive any pushback from the collection.
Just being part of the greater library community in Colorado, we recognize that there are some libraries where there are more challenges, but the library isn't the place really to step in and have the library decide what people should be reading or not reading.
The launch of the program is part of Banned Books Week, which is this week. It's an awareness campaign by the American Library Association. New episodes of the Denver season of Love is Blind drop today, and the hit TV show is bringing up an important question about the city's dating scene.
In your experience,
yes.
Are men or women the problem here more so when it comes to dating?
While it's known for being Menver,
yeah.
I do think that men are the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Menver. That clip is from the Table for One podcast. Apparently, the city's nickname goes back to at least 2006. Young people who move to Denver say they often feel like the dating scene is a little unbalanced. But is Menver a real thing? Denverite has dug into the census data to get down to the bottom of this, and reporter Kiara Damari went to a watch party for the Love is Blind premiere to talk with singles there. Kiara, sounds like a really interesting reporting assignment.
Yeah, it was super fun, and it led me to some really interesting but pretty personal conversations.
I'm looking forward to hearing about this. Can you get us up to speed first on why this TV show is bringing up this question now about Menver?
Yeah, so audiences are fascinated with the way Love is Blind challenges people to fall in love without seeing each other. They're behind a wall that they can talk through.
Maybe we discover that we're each other's purpose too, you know?
Oh. You are just the sweetest.
Well, I'm serious, but I'm quite literally the happiest I've been in a long time. And it's mainly because of you.
Aww.
Yeah, so that's one of the sweeter moments on the show. But at least one of the contestants said he's going on Love is Blind specifically because he sees more men in Denver and he's looking for a woman to be in a relationship with. Another contestant, a 29-year-old nurse named Allie, said she's met a lot of boys who aren't ready to grow up in Denver. And I mean, like personally, I've watched my friends struggle through dating for about a year now in Denver.
So they're struggling here in Menver. What did you hear about that?
So I went to a packed bar on Colfax to watch the Love is Blind season premiere. And I talked to women about their own journeys to find love in the city.
It's really hard being single in Denver because I feel like a lot of guys don't really know what they want, or it's hard to meet someone that actually wants to be in a relationship or wants kids or...
Emily Jasper predicted the show would match the dating scene here.
Probably pretty accurate because I don't think... It seems like a lot of them don't end up together.
I think a lot of people can feel Emily's pain. Does she have a better chance of finding a male partner in Denver than somewhere else in the country?
So in some ways, yes. There are more than 43,000 men between the ages 30 to 34 in Denver. It's the city's largest demographic. And local men outnumber women from ages 30 to 60. And that's pretty unusual. In other cities, women start to outnumber men in the U.S. by the time they reach their 40s. But in Denver, that's more like age 60.
So basically, men are living longer in Denver. It's a good reason to be here.
Yes. And overall, Denver is seemingly a pretty good place to be single. More than 60% of people in the city aren't married. That's about 10 points higher than the national average.
We do have a lot of singles. Wow.
But one person at the watch party named Sabrina Roberts actually said that that could spell trouble for this season's Love is Blind cast.
It's never going to work in Denver.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
Expand
A lot of single people in Denver. It's a single life, and I think everyone is moving here and they're new and getting established. Everyone that I've met in Denver literally are like, what brought you to Denver? They're like, oh, my ex. Like every single person that you meet, if they're not.
That is a story I've heard at least a couple of times. Thanks, Kiara.
Thank you.
Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Benta Birkeland and Haley May. Colorado Today helps you stay up to date on what's happening in your state, and you can help by becoming a supporter. You can make a donation at cpr.org. There's a link in our show notes. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.